Did Mr. Duggar ever grill you guys about your financial situation before marriage?
It's on the 45-page application. Page 27, section B,
Yep.
line 4.
Sure enough. You think he's joking?
Y'all, okay, did y'all not fill out like a whole little thingy for Daddy?
Yeah, they did.
Parts of it.
Everybody did the 30-page
Well, it was
questionnaire.
for
He is not kidding, yes.
Yes, they did.
I got sent a 50-page questionnaire. I sent it back at 105 pages.
Derick and Ben sent theirs section by section, like when they'd fill out the finance section, they'd send that.
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm ready to go. You know, I'm doing a voiceover because y'all, I'm tired today. I can't even wake up. I have been head stuffy. It's thick season, allergies. I'm so over it. If you're over it, raise your hands. I'm raising my hand if you can see. Let's get going because we have an update for you regarding who? Derick Dillard and Jill. So, you know, we have been following along Derick's journey of becoming a lawyer. And one of the things that we've maybe joked about, not even joked about, but also discussed on this channel is like how this doesn't always work in the favor of Jim Bob. You know, Jim Bob has some son-in-laws that don't agree with what he does and says. And now he has a son-in-law with some big updates, and this isn't good news for Jim Bob, especially if he plans to travel, because we'll talk about it in a second. Before we do, can you do me a huge favor and give this video a thumbs up, as well as can you subscribe to my channel if you have not yet subscribed, turn your notifications on so you know when new content loads, and if I ever go live, I don't go live very much anymore. And as well, if you have anything to say, make sure that you leave some comments. And always share this with your friends. So check this out. We all heard and we all were like cheering when Derick Dillard got his passed the bar, right? He passed the bar in Arkansas. And not long after he passed the bar, all of us eagerly awaited to find out what was Derick going to do with his law degree. Was he going to be a prosecutor? Was he going to do advocacy? Was he going to do legal aid? What was he going to do? When he was a law student at University of Arkansas, he did some pro bono work, but now Derick has decided that he is going to do public service and work at the district attorney's office in Stillwell, Oklahoma. But he had a hill he had to climb in order to do this because he didn't pass the bar in Oklahoma. So a lot of us were like, how are you going to do this, Derick? Are you going to actually go take the bar in Oklahoma? What's up? Well, Derick was working behind the scenes, and if you didn't know this, you can actually, there's a universal bar exam that transfers in some states. It's not for all, but he filed a report in August 23rd of 2022. This was filed to the Supreme Court of the state of Oklahoma, and it says, comes now the Board of Bar Examiners of the state of Oklahoma submits the consideration of the court its report and recommendation on the application of Derick Michael Dillard, an active member of the Arkansas State Bar since April 7th, 2022, for admission to practice law in the state of Oklahoma by UBE score transfer under the provisions of Rule 4 of the rules governing admissions to practice of law in the state of Oklahoma. So UBE is a test that it's a bar test that allows, it's a universal bar exam, which allows, some states will use this and then they can transfer scores so that if you move, you can transfer without having to take the bar exam again. So the Board of Bar Examiners, this is what they sent to this, they went on to say, Board of Bar Examiners finds from an examination of the applications of Derick Michael Dillard and the required supporting documents filed that the applicant is fully qualified, has complied with all the requirements for admissions, including graduating from the University of Arkansas, an ABA-approved law school, the processing of a favorable character report by the National Conference of Bar Examiners, achieving the required score on the uniform bar examination in February of 2022, and achieving the required score on the multi-state professional responsibility examination, and should be admitted to practice law in Oklahoma. Therefore, the Board of Bar Examiners recommends that said Derick Michael Dillard be admitted by UBE score transfer to practice law in Oklahoma, in the Oklahoma Supreme Court and all inferior courts of the state of Oklahoma. And that was sent by the chairperson of Board Examiners of Oklahoma in the state of Oklahoma. So that went to the Supreme Court, and then they filed this response. The Chief Justice signed this, and it says that this is dated and filed September 19th, so about just under 2 weeks ago. It's an order from the court, and it says that Derick Michael Dillard filed an application for admissions to practice law in the state of Oklahoma by UBE score transfer pursuant to Rule 4 of the rules governing admission to practice of law in the state of Oklahoma. It says that the Board of Examiners of state of Oklahoma filed its report and recommendation finding that Derick Michael Dillard should be admitted to the practice of law in Oklahoma, in the Oklahoma Supreme Court and all inferior courts of the state of Oklahoma. From this court's review of the Board of Bar Examiners' reports and recommendation, this court finds that the applicant, Derick Michael Dillard, has met all of the requirements for admission by UBE score transfer under RGAP. It is therefore ordered that Derick Michael Dillard be admitted to practice of law in the Oklahoma Supreme Court and all inferior courts upon taking the oath required by Rule 1 of RGAP and signing of the roll of attorneys in the office of the clerk of the court. And that was signed on September 19th, 2022 by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Oklahoma. So Derick Dillard is finally official, and he had accepted a position in Stillwell as an assistant district attorney, and he will now be able to practice law as soon as he takes the oath required. So that's good news for Derick and good news for Jill. That means he can actually start taking cases and work as an actual lawyer in the state of Oklahoma. I never realized how hard it is to actually transfer from one state to the next, and it does take some time, but at least he didn't have to sit for a separate bar because taking the bar in multiple states is a lot of work. And the UBE allows for many a way to not have to do that. Not all states recognize the UBE, but Oklahoma and Arkansas do. So now Derick is a bar member in 2 states. He can work now in Arkansas and in Oklahoma. So public service, that's what a prosecuting attorney does. It's a public service job. So he's not going to be making a ton of money. It's not like he's going to be in a private law firm, but it's good work because they represent cases in the state versus other people. So when the state files charges against someone for doing bad things, Derick Dillard will be one of the attorneys in Stillwell that will help prosecute those cases. So it's not a huge town by any means. And actually today, Derick and Jill were in Stillwell, and apparently it is homecoming there. So Jill shared on her stories some video of them at the homecoming parade in Stillwell, and it looks like Derick is acclimating well in the area. Now, Jill and Derick do not live in Oklahoma. In fact, they recently bought a place in a home in Lowell, Arkansas, which is about 45 minutes away from where Derick works in Stillwell. It's interesting that they remained in Arkansas and didn't move to Oklahoma, but perhaps they might want to go back into Arkansas at some point. I guess he has a lot of flexibility now with the ability to work in 2 separate states. So not all Duggar men are uneducated. Not all Duggar men are working in private sector. Derick will be dedicating his work to the public and the public of Stillwell, Oklahoma. Now, a lot of you have your opinions on Derick, and I'm not here to judge. I don't want to get into, like, some of you had noticed with his bar exam or with his law degree that he was part of a group that was on the very conservative end, and that specific group works to pass legislation. And listen, I'm not going to debate any of that. I'm just here to describe what happens with Derick and why this is good news for him and Jill. We are going to always support any of the Duggars that literally can find occupations outside of having to rely on Daddy Duggar's pocketbook. The further away that they get, the more independent that they become, and the way that they're able to establish their own lives is by having jobs that are not contingent on Jim Bob Duggar. So Derick passed the character score and passed a character exam, or he had a good character. Do you think if Jim Bob Duggar were to have a character reference, he would pass? And do you think that Jim Bob now is quaking in his boots? Now, Jim Bob doesn't own any property in Oklahoma. He's not a frequent person that travels to Oklahoma. So Jim Bob is safe, marked safe from prosecution by Derick Dillard at this time. But I do wonder if at some point Derick will be moving towards back to Arkansas. What are your thoughts about that? I would love to know. Tell me in the comments below. Bye, guys.